your host, Marla Goldberrg. This podcast has been created with you in mind to acquaint you with some of the most incredible metaphysicians and spiritual leaders from around the globe who have helped others change their lives. In this interactive hour, you will be offered insights and techniques to help you make a difference in your life. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite listening platform. And here we go, on to the show. Hello, everyone. Today, you don't have one Marla, you have two Marlas. And my guest today is Marla Martenson. Marla is a matchmaker, author, energy healer, tarot card reader. She's been using her intuitive skills to connect to singles with their soulmates for 2 decades. Marla also has a podcast called The Mystical Matchmaker and a YouTube show, Cosmic Conversations. Marla also has an award-winning spiritual memoir, The Buddha Made Me Do It, which humorously chronicles 2 years of her spiritual, paranormal odyssey in Los Angeles. She has been featured on The Today Show, WGN Chicago Morning News, Beyond Belief on Gaia TV, hundreds of radio shows, including Coast to Coast with George Noory and Fade to Black with Jimmy Church. Welcome, Marla. How are you?
Hey, Marla. Phenomenal.
Hi. It's so great to have two Marlas on.
Yes.
Let's talk about the beginning, because that's where I like to start. Were you born with these gifts? Were you aware of them when you were young? Is this something you picked up older, like myself?
The matchmaking or the magical stuff?
The intuitive. Let's start with the intuitive and go into the matchmaking.
Okay. Well, the intuitive, it's very interesting because when I was, I think the first thing was when I was about 3, and I'm one of those people who remember when I was 2 and 3. I can remember a bunch of stuff, and a lot of people say you can remember that long ago, and I loved being 3. I had a lot of great adventures at 3, but at 2 or 3, I remember being in my bed, in my room. It was dark, and I must have been hot because I was laying on top of the covers and facing out towards the room. I opened my eyes and I saw a figure there. It was like a human figure, all black. I couldn't see any features, and it was standing there. It looked like it was doing deep knee bends, up and down, and I was frozen with fear. And I was like, "What in the heck is that?" And I was just staring, and it was facing me doing that. And then I closed my eyes, and then I opened it, and it was gone. And that later, now speaking to, I very into channeling and stuff, and talking to a spirit guide, he said, well, that was one of your spirit guides. It was a temp. He says, we also have temps, and besides our regular spirit guides. And that was, and he was doing some clearing. He said you had something going on with the ears or infection or something that he was clearing. It looked like he was doing deep knee bends, but he was doing some energetic clearing. So, but I do believe it was, probably a spirit guide. And we're at that age, very attuned. And my mom says I had tons of imaginary friends that I'd always be talking to. And then as I got a little older, I was always, I had a witches club. I gave myself a witch name. It was Hildegard. I did spells and potions, and I made, I did, and I had Halloween was my favorite thing. I was constantly drawing. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm not a good artist, but I was drawing witches and bats all the time, like cartoon type, and so I was always into that magic stuff. I just loved the magic. And then when I was in my late 20s, I started getting into metaphysics with Florence Scovel Shinn's The Game of Life.
Yes.
That was my first book. And then from then through the 90s, living in Chicago, I was, into Wayne Dyer and Stuart Wilde, and listening on my Walkman to all those cassettes and going to spirit. It was just something that started more and more. And then in 2013, me and my friend Julie, who is my sidekick in the book, she and I started on this kind of odyssey where, because I had given away a Buddha statuette when my husband and I moved, I was decluttering, and he said, where's that statue? And it was just like one of those little wooden ones, and it was mine, but he's like, where'd you? And I said, he goes, you're always getting rid of stuff without asking me. And I'm like, well, it was my Buddha. And I couldn't admit that I got rid of it because he'd get mad. He's Latin, sometimes he has a little spicy
fire.
and I said, oh no, it's probably in the garage. And so I went and drove all around Los Angeles looking to replace it. So you wouldn't know. And I went to all the spiritual hot spots and I couldn't find one. And I thought, oh my God. And every day he's like, did you find that Buddha? And I'm like, I'm sure I'm going to keep looking in the garage. And then I went to one last place and they didn't have it, but they did have a flyer that offered classes for $15 every week. And so Julie and I said, hey, Julie, you want to take some classes? So we started taking these classes in spirit communication and, all these kind of stuff. And from there, I started getting into crystal. I got certified as a crystal healer. Then I went and got certified in Reiki and then all these other energetic attunements. And then we were just going all over town learning about pendulums and candle magic and everything. And Julie, who's a celebrity ghostwriter, she says, Marla, why don't you write a book? Because I'd written 2 memoirs before. She goes, why don't you write a book chronicling our experiences? It's so funny, some of the things that were going on. So anyway, that brings me up to pretty much present day there. I really took a deep dive.
You did take a deep dive. And being on the West Coast, that it's a great place to take that dive because it's so accessible. And it was accessible way back then. But it's interesting because back then there was no internet or anything, and people talk about that harmonic convergence, and I didn't know about it. I missed out on that one. I don't know. There was stuff that I didn't, in the 80s, I didn't really see. I did go to this place called the Bodhi Tree out here, and I'd get some metaphysical books, but it was more kicked in a little later for me when I could, get more information. And so then you became a matchmaker. How did you? I was an actress / waitress for 20 years. I moved from Seattle, Washington at age 19, came down here, started doing TV commercials, print modeling, studying acting, dance, French. Those were my 3 favorite things to study language. I'm really into languages. And so I did that and then moved to Chicago in the 90s. And I was doing acting there, also working in a steakhouse. And when I was 30.
I have to ask, which steakhouse?
Black Hawk Lodge.
Okay, I know. Black Hawk Lodge, yeah.
Yeah, I worked for different restaurants, but that was the last one that I was there, yeah. And it was great. I loved it. I lived right downtown. I had my little apartment. I just loved it. And I enjoyed that city. I enjoyed my time so much. But I was also kind of lonely because my dad had moved to Orange County, California. I got a call around Christmas that he had terminal cancer, and I just collapsed. It was just horrific, and I rushed out. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to move back. And then by the time I moved, I spent a couple weeks, and then I went back to get my stuff in Chicago. By the time I got back, he died 3 days later. So I was back in LA and started up a little with the acting and stuff. But I was like, I can't. I was just I couldn't get my butt off my stoop, I would sit out in the stoop of my little apartment with my little teacup Yorkie thinking, I'm running out of money. I got to get my butt out and go get a restaurant job. And it's not as easy in LA to get a restaurant job as Chicago. Here it's all about, what do you look like? Give me your headshot. There's 300 people. It's really different. And I'm like, I can't put on a weight. I can't be a 40-year-old waitress. I can't do it. I've done it 20 years. Please, God. And then I started doing all these affirmations and reading these Louise Hay little cards, a whole box my cousin gave me. I read them every day. And I said, I don't know what I can do. I don't have any other skills, really. I don't want to, what. And then I got my now husband, who I met, had a friend who was taking over the management position at a video dating service. And she says, I'll hire you part-time to be the videographer and work the front desk. You can still go on auditions. So I did that. I really had a good time. Ended up leaving there because of a managerial shakeup. And I applied for another job in the back of an actor's magazine as it said Talent Scout, Fun Job, Beverly Hills. That's all it said. I show up and it was a high-end matchmaking agency. So they hired me to be a recruiter because it was the high-end guys wanting the gorgeous goddesses, beautiful women. So I started as a recruiter, recruiting the women. They liked what I did. They asked me to work in the office. I said, I don't work in offices. I'm an actor. I don't know how to work in an office. No, it's no problem. Well, and I didn't really need office skills. I just needed people skills. And then I started matchmaking. And then when the head matchmaker went off and had a baby. I took her position. So for 7 years, I was the head there. And then in 2009, the recession hit, and I had one of those take this job and shove it moments with my boss, and I walked out. And my husband, it was like dead man walking, coming up to that door. Are you crazy? Quitting a high-level job in Beverly Hills with health insurance in the middle of a recession? And I'm like, well, it's done. And here I am 10 years later. I have my own matchmaking business.
So bringing in the intuitive piece to the matchmaking, I'm assuming you do bring your piece in.
Well, some people will say, do you use that to match? But the thing is, working with the high-level guys, if it's, the first thing that they're interested in is looks.
Right.
Guys are visual. So they have a certain look in mind, and they do pay a lot. It's a high end. It's not for everyone. It's more high end. So they really expect, these women to look phenomenal. So I have to go by that first, region, age group, kids, no kids, the look, the height, the maybe religion, background now, political party, which is a whole, I'm not even going to get into that, but I can't even believe it that I have to screen for that. And some people won't date some other people because of who they voted for. But
I get
really locking out a big portion of people. But so I have to get through all those things and then get into the, personality and stuff too. So there's a whole, some people will, she's got to drink alcohol because I have a wine collection, or there's maybe a girl who's, into yoga and stuff. I don't want a guy who's drinking. So there's all these little nuances. But what's great is with the matchmaker, I can screen for all that. If you just meet somebody on your own, you don't know that. Maybe you're allergic to that. You've got 3 or, whatever.
It's fascinating because, people have their proclivities. They want what they want. But do you find that there are some people who get what they want and they go, oh, that's not what I really wanted?
Well, it's interesting because in my first memoir, Diary of a Beverly Hills Matchmaker, I write a lot about this kind of stuff, how the guys will think. It doesn't matter what they look like. It doesn't matter what they were attracting before they come on with me, but they want a 10, they want a model. And so they might, these girls that sometimes they'd send me pictures of Victoria's Secret models and say, do you think you could track her down for me? And they have this idea in their head. So then I'll match them with a couple of these 10s who could, I said, like this, one guy sent me one picture of a model. I said, I think she's dating Leonardo DiCaprio right now, but, so they can date whoever they want. So once they kind of see, they have a few dates with these hot women, and then they see it, they can't pin it down because they have so many options. And then they say, okay, well, maybe I don't need, like a 10, 20 years younger or whatever. And then they're like, get a little more, because it's like, what do you want? What do you really want in your life? So they it's like a kid in a candy store at first. They're like, oh, maybe I can, date Claudia Schiffer or Heidi Klum or something. It's like, no.
Well, yeah, everybody has these aspirations, but it brings me back to what Judy Shin, Judge Judy, she had a book and it said, beauty fades, but stupid is forever. And that's the title of her book. And I was like, it's such a true statement because your beauty does fade. And if you don't find some way to connect as an individual, as a person, where does that leave these relationships?
It does, and you never think it will, because I was one of those hot girls, and I was a model and everything, and then now,
you're stunning.
Later, it's like, well, it's I see the difference, and so it's really weird because we don't feel different inside, and then we all think they're coming to me and, well, I know I'm 50, but everybody thinks I'm 30, so I want to date a 30-year-old. Or it's like everybody's Dorian Gray. Everybody,
yeah.
Humans, everybody. I look a lot younger than I know I'm whatever, but I look a lot younger. Everybody says that, and it's hard because we don't feel like we're aging. We feel the same, and we feel youthful and energetic. And it's hard to say, well, I know I'm old now, but so
I just say older or seasoned. I'm more seasoned than I used to be, which is so funny. Well, then people who can't deal, for it high end. What do you suggest they do to find someone who might be their twin flame, or you might call it a soulmate?
Yeah.
What should they look for?
There's so many options out there now, and my service is just, it's a specialized thing, but there is online, and there's so many people getting together and getting married online. I know you should be careful. You want to meet people in public places. You want to screen, finesse, find out who they are, all of that. But there's a lot of great people on there. Letting your friends know that you're single and available. I always like meetup.com, going out to do things that are that you are interested in, and you're going to find like-minded people. Like if I was single now, I go to all these festivals, these amazing spiritual festivals. You know? There's Conscious Life Expo, and there's Disclosure Fest, and there's Vegan Fest coming up. And you see all these cool people. So those, I'm interested in those kind of personalities and those kind of people. But so think about that. Also, the most important thing I think is we attract anything at the level of it's a direct frequency match.
Right.
So I hear people, it does get frustrating. I understand it, and saying, there's nobody out there. All the good guys are taken, or they're all jerks, or I can't trust anyone, or those stories that we play in our head that just kind of comes in, and we have to cut that off. You can't do it, because we're going to keep attracting those low, the same
energy vibrations.
Yeah, so you got to do, if you need to take a break or whatever and get your vibration up, do some there's so many childhood wounds, past life stuff, things that you've got to clear out. And there's a lot of different modalities that you can work with for clearing, whether it's tapping or, guided meditations or hypnosis or breath work or plant medicine journeys, or there's so many options, but we've got to clear this stuff out. I was stuck in those patterns for years and years of, get verbal abusive guys or not available guys, and then the ego wants to be right. And it's like, when I was in Chicago, I'd go out with a guy, and then he'd dump me. And I was like, another guy dumped me, of course. And then every time I got dumped, I'd cut my hair, and I had really short hair. And then I went to work one day at the restaurant, and this guy, and one of my coworkers says, "Marla, you better stop dating or you're going to be bald."
That's pretty funny.
I was like playing out that, yes, it's not going to work, and it didn't. So I had to do a lot of shifting, and I'm still clearing. I'm still, clearing things.
I think clearing is a lifelong journey. It's like, we have a journey of things that we need to clear up, but also clearing our wounds is part of that gig, should I say. Yeah. That if you stay focused on what you need to do to shift what's going on, heal your wounds, release things that don't serve you, energies, emotions, thought, ways of thinking. It's all part of what I think we're here to do. And we'll do it till the end of time.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Those patterns, those triggers,
the traumas,
the triggers are really interesting to see what triggers us.
That's so true. Wait, show the book again, please.
The Buddha made me do it. It's not about Buddhism. This is one thing when I titled it, because of that Buddha statue that I gave away. And then because of the Buddha statue, it led me to this shop where I started taking classes. And because of that Buddha statue that I gave away, my whole life changed. But I realize, titling this, a lot of people automatically think it's about Buddhism or Buddha. It's not. It's kind of like a Eat, Pray, Love meets Bridget Jones's Diary type of
Oh, I love that. That sounds so fascinating.
That's how it's very funny.
So we were talking about energy healing and matchmaking. How does energy play a role in relationships?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Just like what we were talking about before the break of direct frequency match and calling in, it's like magnets, whoever's on your frequency, whatever's on your frequency is what you're calling in. And that's energy. It's all energy. We are energy. And you can kind of feel, sometimes you walk in a room or you meet someone new, or you end up on a blind date from the internet or something. You can just like feel this energy. we're always taking in that energetic information. And I think it's good if before you go on a date or meet someone new, do some clearing. Maybe take a salt bath or sage yourself or do a little sound bowl or something and get yourself, do a little maybe 5-minute chakra meditation, get yourself lined up so you're not in a frantic space or negative, take that negative stress off from your work day or whatever's been going on, and come to that person in that situation in an aligned and grounded space. It's going to make all the difference, because then you're not going to get into arguments or start talking about exes or negative stuff, because people are looking
or
for
politics.
Yeah, or politics. Oh God. People are looking for red flags in the other person. It seems like instead of looking for all the great things, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to look for 5 positive aspects in this person across from me that's great. Maybe they have wonderful eyes, that they've got a great laugh. We're always kind of scanning like, oh, that comment, I don't know, maybe red flag, or oh, they ordered a second drink, or they, it's like that survival kind of reptilian brain looking for the negative or something.
They're looking for a reason to not move forward.
Yes. Yeah.
A reason to just say, nope, this one isn't for me.
Yes. Yeah.
But so do you ever have, and this has happened to me, where when I was younger, I would be like the person you just described, and be like, I would sabotage myself. And I have to tell you, missed opportunities with some really great guys because I was, a bit dysfunctional in my way of energetically. But what I started doing, and I don't know if you talk to your clients about this, about second chances, because sometimes people don't put their best foot forward on their first date when they first meet each other. And, I used to be like, okay, that was terrible. I'm not doing it again. But I wouldn't have been married to my husband if I followed that advice, the old way of being. So I decided to give myself another opportunity and would at least give people 2 to 3 chances before I definitely put a kibosh on moving forward on anything. Do you ever work with that?
In a way, certain situations, that's good. I used to do this test in my head, like if I'm on a date with somebody and I could never picture myself kissing the person, then why go forward? Because it's not going to be a romantic, right? But if you think they're cute, if there's, things aren't perfect, give another chance, because we do say dumb things, or maybe you're nervous or not our best. And we have to take that into account. So I like the second chance, but also our time's limited. And as we get older, we realize I cannot waste it. I used to people would ask me to lunch, this, that, and I'd go and I drive here and I do that. Wasting so much time, but I could have been a lot more productive. Now, as in my 5th decade, I'm not doing that. I don't do anything I don't want to do. And I talk to women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who feel that way. It's like I don't want to take that time on all these dates that aren't going to work out because they've got other things that they're filling their soul up, and that's understandable. Now, I have a good tip. I have a great thing that I came up with because, like, I live in Los Angeles. To get from here to over to Hollywood I heard of something.
That's my mascot, Tug.
That's great. He's a green. Okay. So it could take an hour or more to get somewhere for a date.
Yes.
Where we're living now and what we're doing. So now we have FaceTime, we have Zoom, we have Skype, we have WhatsApp, we have Facebook Messenger, we have Marco Polo, all these things. Have a video chat date. Put on something cute, get a glass of wine or a cup of tea or whatever, and get on the video and have a little date that way. If for these like internet dates or whatever, you could that could be your first interaction. If you like what you see, your voices, your personality, then you can take that hour or whatever to drive over there and meet them.
Right, and in Los Angeles or in California in general, the traffic is.
There's traffic now. It's like so many places. It's a nightmare. So
right. So it really is great to do that. And then you have other places where it's a little bit more convenient to do the meeting in person. But I like the video chat thing, whether you Zoom, Skype, whatever it might be, because those people who put up false pictures or put up pictures of the way they looked 20 years ago, and it's like this is what I look like now. It's like, yeah, no.
That still happens a lot. I heard that from a gal the other day. She's like, I showed up and his picture was old, and what he said he did for a living was not right. It was just like, oh, she said I was catfished.
And that's what it is. And what I don't understand is these people who do this is just sort of a random thing, but they catfish. Do they think that people aren't going to be onto their game, or they're going to find them so irresistible that it's like, it's okay that you're dishonest, I'm going to jump into this relationship with you? It's like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I've talked to people about that because they'll put a different age to get into that lower bracket to meet younger people and stuff. And when I've questioned it or the photo, they said, yeah, but once I know it's not, but I'd never get to meet those people otherwise. And once they meet me, I'm so much, younger in person, or I look, they're going to like me. And so that's what they're hoping, that they'll say, oh yeah.
I just find that so funny, because it's like, really, like, whatever. I won't get into my personal way of thinking, but, so what did you find you needed to do to delve deeper into your spiritual practice to continue your work being a matchmaker?
Well, my work, how I love it. I'm so blessed, and I meet the most fascinating people. But like when you were saying, these high-level guys, when they're paying a lot of money, they want what they want. And there was times, in the past, maybe somebody yell at me, or they could get pretty, mean sometimes, yeah. or not happy. Nobody's good looking. She's not thin enough, or, just this lower vibration. And I used to cry, or I, used to get frustrated. And I realized all my spiritual work was really balancing out that more shallow aspect, because humans are, and I love all my clients, and they're just trying to be happy and find what's going to make them happy and find love. But sometimes people have a skewed or a different view of what's going to make them happy in the end. And people will take in any job, somebody might take out their frustrations on you, on the business owner. And so I would I sage, I send healing energy to their files. I send prayers for them and affirmations, and I managing my energy, because I'd be in the car with my husband, and I'd get a text from one of the guys, a little sniggly one, and I was ready to respond, and my husband like, wait, tell me, breathe, don't answer right away, because there's been times when I shoot back a snarky response, and so I don't do that anymore. I manage my energy, my frequency, and then I respond in a loving way, and things clear up much easier, and we get right back on track. So it's helped me a lot.
So let me ask you a question. You know how that person on that cable TV show who was a matchmaker, and she would what's the word? She would educate the person that was on the show, how to dress, how to do their hair, blah, 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 to put their best foot forward. Do you do that with them at all on a spiritual level, teaching them about managing their energy or what they're putting out, how it might affect the date they're going to have?
The women love this stuff. So I'm starting to, in 2021, I'm really going to be rolling out my coaching for women, but I'm working on something now, but I still talk to the ladies, and I help them with stuff, and I'll do laser coaching, and I do readings. They'll actually want a reading, and they'll end up, I have a love reading, which is on my website, and that we will do some energy work and pull some cards and talk about things. So they love it. The guys, they're not as woo-woo, a lot of them. So they're like, well, I know what I want. And so it's sometimes harder to crack. They're these power guys, but some of them I have been getting some real ones that are into spiritual stuff, or they say, I meditate every day. So it's changing a little bit, which is great. So we can talk about that. But up until recently, it's just been more the, CEOs and that right. type of energy with them, and so. Right,
and they don't.
But I like to bring with them. I love to bring humor. I laugh about and I'll even send them little video clips. Hey, how about this person, or to just keep them, because their work is real demanding. Some of them have like 3 companies, or they're flying here and there. They're real estate developers, and producers and doctors, surgeons, brain surgeons I've had, they're stressed, so I try to bring a little levity and fun and magic into their life.
Well, which is also a stress breaker. So if they're all stressed about, getting the right person and I don't know how to get into the explanation in terms of, but I'm seeing the picture going on in my head on how demanding they can be about what they want. And again, they want what they want because they've acquired so much that I think that they come in with so much stress and tension to achieve that using the humor and the levity as an icebreaker gets them to take a deep breath and go, oh yeah, I don't need to have that. I call it business mode. You don't have to be in business mode all the time.
They'll bring it. It's like dating is like business sometimes for some people. They don't, and it's completely a separate energy. Something what you bring to it is different. Yeah,
it's so important to bring different energy to it. I personally believe. So are we predetermined to be with someone? I mean,
people love to ask, "Where's my soulmate? Is this my soulmate, or is this my twin flame?" And I kind of feel that instead of focusing so much on that, find somebody it's hard enough to just find somebody that you can get along with, that you can grow with, that you can spend your life with, all of that. So look for a good compatible partner instead of worrying, is this somebody from my past life? We do travel in soul groups. We often connect with people from the past to learn lessons. And so your soulmate may not be dream in a rom-com. It's going to be somebody who is going to push your buttons, who's going to push you to do your work, your lessons. My husband Adolfo, we've been together 2 decades now, and we've had past lives, and oh my God, this relationship has really pushed me to do a lot of work on myself, my reactions, just so much, and it's been life, changing, but I can't say it's been a smooth ride. It's been rocky.
But aren't those rocky times, those challenging times, those times we have our best growth, that we learn our lessons so we can clear out those lessons, like clearing junk out of a closet. So new lessons come in, but I found that as the lessons come in, they're less like henny penny, the sky is falling, my world is falling apart, and they're more like little hiccups of life, instead of these giant hurdles.
Yeah, and the twin flame is so interesting, because this once spiritual master said, the twin flame, he says the soulmate relationship, that can be with your best friend or your pet or somebody you're with or your husband and stuff, but then the twin flame, that's the real tough one. He says, when you hear about somebody murdering, their partner, he says, yeah, that's probably a twin flame.
Wow.
Does it happen?
I never even put it in that. Yeah.
Somebody you want to kill, It's
I'm putting that into perspective. Yes, I could see where that would be.
Be so desperate to find that twin flame. I don't know. It's they're coming into our lives. The people that we need to connect with. They're spinning in and out. And don't be so worried about if you're going to spend the rest of your life together. Sometimes they'll just start dating somebody. They don't even know if it's a good fit. Oh, is this, women especially, is it long term. We want everything to right away. Is this life for life? And it might be just for a few years to grow and learn some things and then, split up.
As Bashar says, a relationship is a relationship till it's not a relationship anymore. It's one of my favorite quotes. And if you've just tuned in, Marla Martenson is my guest today. Marla is a matchmaker, author, energy healer, tarot card reader. She has her own podcast called The Mystical Matchmaker, which I love, a YouTube show called Cosmic Conversations, and her latest spiritual award-winning memoir is The Buddha Made Me Do It. And before I bring her on to chat, I'm going to bring Marla on to talk about her charity, because it's charity shout-out time. And Marla is supporting PETA. So welcome back, Marla.
Hi, Marla.
And so PETA is your organization of choice. And what is it that resonates with you?
I've always loved PETA because I'm plant-based and I love animals. I mean, I'm so connected to animals, all animals. And I love how they are championing for animals and just, making people aware of the plant-based options and everything they do. And it's tough to be an animal activist. Sometimes the way I love animals, I thought I should be doing more and getting out there. But that takes we're talking about energy, and it takes a certain energy. It takes a certain personality. There's people like Jane Velez Mitchell who's out there, on the front lines of educating people, and how pigs are no different than dogs. We've just been programmed from the time we come in, it's okay to eat this animal or slaughter or put it in a cage, but not this one because this one's cute or that, So when I can, I donate to PETA, and so take a look at their website because they need money and support to do the things that they're doing, and also fighting against the animal testing for cosmetics and all the horrible experiments they do on these beautiful sentient beings. So, and
don't they get involved in trying to stop the random for pleasure safari people from shooting wild animals?
And I think like bullfights and all of these cockfights and bullfights and dogfights, and there's so much cruelty that people might not even think about going on with the animals. And talking about energy, for me, it's almost sometimes I have to stop myself. I can't think about it because there's so much pain going on globally in all of those areas with the animals that I can feel that energy. It's like going to affect the humans. And then when we're eating, some people might not agree, but I feel if I'm eating that flesh, that's the pain that they went through being,
or the
raised,
fear.
tortured, and fear, and then it goes into that energy continues and comes into us, and look at the world right now, the fear, the anger, everything coming up, and how can we be treating our other sentient beings, and including and people say, well, humans are being treated badly. Well, yes, but I can't do everything.
Right.
No sentient being should be treated cruelly. So I'm just very connected to the animal kingdom and the earth and the energies of that. So, and
I support animal cruelty, and also the fact that all of these, especially wild animals, forest animals, they're becoming extinct, and that supports our ecosystem. So by doing some of it, by killing these animals for profit, for whatever the profit might be, or just for gamesmanship, you're really doing more damage to our earth, which we might not be affected, but our children, our children's children may not be able to live the beautiful life we're able to live because of all of the riches and resources we have, because they're going away.
Right. Yeah, it's very scary there. And then the coyotes are coming into neighborhoods now too. I see that in broad daylight in my neighborhood. I've seen a coyote a few times looking right at me. Like I pick up my dog, they're coming in to find some food.
Right. They're hungry because they've been displaced from where was their natural habitat. Right. It's very challenging. And unless we keep some of our forestry and our natural wild growth, it's going to really, truly affect everything. So, so everybody out there, PETA is a great organization, and you can look them up at www.peta.org. All right, so let's talk about, I just want to make this mention. You were telling me about this Everclear, it's an app, I believe.
There's a new app. It's called Everclear, and it's on, you could just go in the App Store, iOS or the other Android, either. And when you look it up, it's Everclear, and it says intuitive guidance. And you can put that on your phone, and then it's a psychic hotline, you guys. It's a psychic hotline, but it's more like intuitive guidance, intuitive coaching, more than calling up and saying, is he thinking about me, or does this guy have a crush on me? Those kind of lower level questions that I really can't answer. But I'm on there, and if you want to go on there and get a reading from me, I have a moniker. It's Marlena, Marlena, Marlena M. and you'll see my photo and a green top. But yeah, and it's $2.99 a minute where you can text with me. And if I'm not on at the time, you can do a text there and set up an appointment. But if you want a reading or guidance or a little coaching or something, you can go on there. And I'm having a ball with it. I am loving this. Life is magic, and I just look for more ways to bring magic into life with all these heavy energies and everything going on. I just try to find the sparkle in life and the magical moments and the things we can tap into, whether it's angels, spirit guides, or seeing the magic in another person, their true essence, a smile, just trying to get that frequency up so we can ascend.
Right. Well, and bring the frequency up so we get the match that we deserve by raising the vibration.
We get the job, the opportunities, the insights, the health, the everything. And our whole life is working with that.
Because what you put out energetically, you bring back to yourself.
Mm-hmm. So and we don't even realize we're like these antennas, and we don't realize what's coming out of there. Sometimes that that energy coming out.
Absolutely. Oh my God, that's hysterical, but it's true. It is very, very true. So, do you have any stories, inspiring stories that you can share about? Maybe you mixed your modalities in matchmaking and other things to really have an interesting shift, or just a great matchmaking story?
Yeah, there's sometimes people will get a little frustrating going on date after date. And I had this one gentleman who joined, and also, so if you're going to sign up with a matchmaker, have some trust in them, because a lot of times we do show photos, and before, we'll say, are you interested in this person? But before, a lot of the guys will say, no, not my type, nope. And I've had guys decline like 30, 35 women and that I've picked, and these are lovely ladies. So instead of declining, be open and say, okay, I'm going to date somebody who maybe I wouldn't have thought of before. Maybe she's 3 inches shorter than or he, for women too. Maybe I love blondes, but you know what, I'm open to a Latin woman, or I love, tall, but it's okay if they're 3 inches or 4 inches shorter than I thought, or just something different. And you'll be pleasantly surprised, and just be more open, because I had a guy who joined in on his last, after a whole year, because he went on every match that I suggested. The last one, they got married. They are happy. I mean, it's like a fairy tale. They're so happy. But being open to, okay, I'm going to meet this person, and then you're also working on your dating skills. You're working on honing in what you want. I guess just be more open. And then if you're on, so I loved that story, because some people hope that they're going to meet their person on the first match or right away. Like, what's happening? I'm not, this isn't working. But just give it time. It's a process.
And maybe you have to see what you don't want before you find what you really do want.
Right. Yeah. You can see some things that, okay, well, let's shift this or tweak that.
Yeah. And as we were talking about before the show, sometimes, after they've gone through what they think is their ideal, they find that it is really not their ideal. And then somebody who they might not have picked out the first, second, or even 10th time ends up being the one that really resonates the most, maybe because the heart energy comes out.
And remember, photos are not great representations of people. I have beautiful photos of myself, and I have horrific photos of myself. Like, nobody takes me out of a photo. And then other ones, oh my God, it looks great. So it could be the look on the face, the angle, the lighting, anything that you meet them in person. It's like it's not even a representation. So don't be too stuck on a photo either.
Well, and here's what I've learned in my couple of years being in this world, is that don't miss out on the heart connection that you can get, which is way deeper than anything physical.
Yes.
I mean, that physicality changes. Just like somebody who likes a lot of sex. What?
Yeah, humans love bright, shiny things, right? So it just goes on to, and so it's trying to kind of break that societal constructs there that have trained us through the media what this looks like, what this should look like. So we've got to kind of break out of that a little bit, break out of that box.
I so agree. It's so important. And I know what I did for me because I kept going with the same, we were talking about this earlier, the same type. And then I consciously decided I'm not going to do the same things I've done before. I'm changing my quote unquote type. Mm-hmm. And when I did, I just brought in some of the most amazing male humans into my world. And I'm fortunate enough to now be married to one of them.
Yes, I love it.
It's great. It's just about being open to possibilities, exploring possibilities. You might be surprised. It's like that food that you might look at and say, "Oh God, that looks terrible," but then you taste it and go, "Oh my God, that is amazing. I want more."
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
It's the book by the cover adage. Anyway, Marla, we have run out of time. Thank you so much. Could you show your book one more time, please, so everybody can see the memoir? The Buddha Made Me Do It. So please look that up on Amazon. Pick up a copy, as well as Marla's other memoirs. And Marla, thank you so much. So grateful for you being on the show. I want to bring up also, if you want to reach Marla, you can look her up at Marla, M-A-R-L-A. You should know how to spell that. Martenson, MartenSon.com. You can find her on Instagram at the Mystical Matchmaker. Twitter is Marla Martenson. Pick up a copy of Buddha Made Me Do It, and please check out her podcast called The Mystical Matchmaker and the Cosmic Conversation Show on YouTube. So, Marla, thank you. So grateful and blessed that you were here today. And I want to say thank you to you, all of you who either tune in or on Facebook. Take time out of your day to listen and be a part of this podcast. Till next week, I send you love, I send you blessings, I send you gratitude.